Hi everyone, welcome back to Chops Garage. We're in on a cheeky Sunday today. I've been trying to avoid Sundays because I've been working such a lot recently, but we had a subscriber come to pick up a car today because it's the only opportunity they had coming down my way to Devon. They're from up country. It was the little Category S Citroen C1 we sold them. Nice little cheap car for them. Ended up selling to them for £1,600. So for 2011 with, I think it was 80,000 miles, new MOT, new clutch. Goodbye for them. Not such a great deal for me, but it's a goodbye to them, and it went to the right kind of person because obviously they knew about all the damage and the Cat S side of things and all that, seen it all in the videos. Now we have had some new stock in, and you might see something behind me that might be of interest to some of you. We've got a few other cars in as well. I am going to get more content on that soon, but I realise what we haven't done for a little while is we haven't done Dealer Dilemma Corner, where we've got some warranty claims in and we need to decide what is going to happen with them. We've got a few stories that have come in from you guys as well on trading, which might interest some of you. I know you like to hear those stories as well. But first up, my latest dilemma on a warranty claim. So those who don't watch the channel regularly, my name's Chops, or actually James. I have a small car dealership. Got a lot of cars out there awaiting prep, a lot of cars in here that need some prep, some of which have sold. I can let you know the Chevy Spark has sold, by the way, and the Corsa has sold. So we'll update you again on another video. We'll update on some of the sales that we've made, some of the stuff that's gone out. But I am a small car dealer. I deal with cars that are normally, as a general rule, below £5,000. Oh, the S2000's gone as well. So yeah, we'll definitely have to update you on that. So normally under £5,000, normally small CC petrol cars that are really easy sellers, but they are older. They're normally around 80 to 100,000 miles. They're normally at least 10 years old, if not sometimes like 14 years old. And obviously those cars come with problems, with the best will in the world. But I do my best to look after everybody. Sometimes warranty claims are obvious, sometimes they're not. So let's get into it. We've got one in, and I need your feedback on whether you think I should be doing it or not. So we sold a 2011 Hyundai i20 2 months ago. It was, if some of you might remember, it was all kinds of different shades of red, but only had 40,000 miles on it. It was one owner from new. The guy had been burnt on a Fiat 500 he bought from another dealer that had an engine management light that he was told was an oxygen sensor. Turned out it was the cam sensor, and we think the timing was out on the vehicle. He part exchanged that in. He's had the Hyundai i10 for, like I say, 2 months now. Bought it cheaply. I knocked the price down because it did have some different fading red on it. Fundamentally, it was a really good car underneath. We did a new MOT service, and he got it about, I think, £400 less than Auto Trader said it should be. So he rings me up. Well, he actually emailed me, as people always do, late at night. Emailed me twice, rang me up twice, left me a message, called him back to find out what the problem was. And he was saying, as he went to get into the car the other day, he went to open the back door and he couldn't get his golf clubs in. First world problems. Couldn't get his golf clubs in because the back door wouldn't open. And could we get it booked in under warranty and get it sorted? So it went out with a 3-month, 3,000 mile warranty, which again on a car that old is quite unusual in this industry. A lot of people go 30 days on that kind of thing because anything after sort of 30 days can be considered it wasn't an existing fault. Within 30 days, there's good odds that the fault already existed on the vehicle. Now, obviously, under consumer law, you've got up to 6 months to make a claim against the car dealer for a vehicle. But just because you've got up to 6 months doesn't make it a valid claim, of course. It could still be a fault. The law says that you're, as a dealer, you're responsible for faults that were existing at point of sale. Up to 6 months as a dealer, you've got to prove they don't exist. After 6 months, the consumer has to prove they did exist. So in this scenario, the customer signs a form that says they've checked the functionality of the vehicle and are happy with all the features and the functions of the vehicle. And we know that the door's opened. It wouldn't have passed MOT, I don't think, if that rear passenger door didn't open. And I'm pretty sure that's something we would have noticed as we went round the car. So the fact that it's now not working 2 months later could be considered, well, I think reasonably, so again, I'm looking for your feedback on this, that it wasn't an existing fault at point of sale. It's happened on a 13-year-old car that's been used for a couple of months. Now the door lock stopped working. I clearly didn't know that was going to happen. I know people like to think we've got crystal balls, but I clearly didn't know that was going to happen. It's happened due to just normal use of the vehicle. And at that age, it's expected that, you know, things might wear out. A lock could wear out, a cable could come disconnected or not. So we're going to get it checked out and find out what it is. We're getting into the garage to get it checked out what it finally is. I mean, I guess at that point I could have said, on your bike, son, it's your lookout. You need to go and get it sorted out yourself because you've had the car for 2 months and it clearly was working without the door. But we're going to get checked out exactly what the fault is. But let me know in the comments, what do you think? When the fault comes back and we find out exactly what it is, who should be paying the repair bill? I'll be interested to hear. Second claim from this week, which isn't a dilemma as much because I'm not going to ask for your feedback because I've already sorted it. but you may well be interested. Now, a lot of time you get feedback that says warranties aren't worth the paper they're written on. You hear it all the time. So I had one of these this week. It was, your warranty's not worth the paper it's written on because the Corsa, now those of you that watch the channel regularly will know, Corsas are the bane of my life. My piece of advice actually, if you're buying cars, don't buy Corsas unless you really, really want a Corsa. I sell them because people do really, really want Corsas for some unknown reason. But they are the most problematic of the small cars. That is a categorical fact. The problems they have aren't often problems that other manufacturers can't have. They just have them at a lot lower mileage and they have them in higher volume. So this chap rang me, so the paper's not worth what it's written on with your warranty because I'd sold him a 2011 Vauxhall Corsa. I think it had about 60,000 miles on it, 1.2 petrol, which they love a chain, don't they, the 1.2 petrols, but luckily this wasn't a chain issue. What happened in fact was that the radiator had started leaking, it was losing coolant. He'd taken it to his local garage, they checked it out and they said your radiator sprung a leak. So he puts a claim into the warranty company, Warranty Wise, who I work with, and as you've seen on the videos plenty of times before, they do pay out. If they're hesitant, we normally have a chat and they'll normally come to some kind of a deal. But at the end of the day, again, they're not there to replace every part on a 13-year-old car. A 13-year-old car, it's totally fair to expect that certain parts are going to wear out naturally on a car that age. They're there for unexpected breakages, things we wouldn't expect to break. Well, that is a Silverstone RS behind me, number 50 or 50. We'll get into that in another video. Anyway, so the guy goes to his garage, they tell him that the radiator's leaking, he puts a claim into the warranty company for the radiator, they come back and according to him said it's not covered because it's fair wear and tear for the age, which isn't something that surprises me, but normally they do actually tend to do things like that. So I thought, well, let me check it out. So I said to him, I'll tell you what, I'll give him a bell, I'll have a word with him and see what's up. So I got hold of my account manager. I said, look, can you check into this claim? It's been declined. It sounds like the kind of thing that you'd normally fix for me. So I went to the account, had a look at the claim, and she came out and said, James, that's not the problem. That's not why we declined it. We've declined it because the fitting time for a radiator on a Corsa is about an hour, according to the books, which I know that you can run over in about an hour and a half easy by the time you've filled up with coolant, bled it, all that kind of stuff. But they're asking for 3 hours, and they're asking for £150 an hour labour, and they're also asking for a couple of £100 for the radiator. So the total repair bill for it coming in was something like £600 odd, I think it was, for fitting a radiator to a 2011 Corsa. Now by this point I'd already spoken to my guys that I used for my mechanical work all the time down the road called Moores, and they'd said to me that, because I thought if they don't pay on this warranty, what am I looking to do to help the customer get it done? What's the fair price to get it done up his way, that kind of thing. And they said they could get a radiator, I think it was about £50, and that fitting would be 2 hours max, so about £150 plus the VAT. They said it'd be around about £200 for the job. So when she told me how much the customer had been asking for from the warranty, I was not surprised in the slightest it had been declined. I said to my account manager when I was phoned to him, I said, well look, if my guys can do it for a couple of £100, would you do that? So she said, well, just send me over a quote for that's how much it's going to cost to fix. So I sent over the quote for how much it cost to fix immediately, and I immediately got a reply, approved. They'd approved it straight away. So I got hold of this person that had bought the Corsa, and I said to him, I said, look, the issue they had was not that they didn't want to do the repair. The issue they had was the fees you were trying to charge to get it done. I don't know where you're going to get it done, whether it was a McLaren dealership or something, but that was way, way too much money to fit a radiator to a Corsa. I said, so I'm going to email you across your options now. So I emailed them across your options and said, you bring it back to me and I'll get it done. And I'll take the £200 from Warranty Wise. I said, or you book it into this garage, you want to fix it, and they'll contribute £200 towards it. So they emailed me straight back and went, actually, I'll go for option number 3 here. Now, this is where you've got to wonder if there isn't a little bit more to the story as to what was going on in the background here. Because he said, I'll choose option number 3, I'll take the £200 and I'll fit the radiator myself. So it was going to cost him £50 to get a radiator and he was going to bank the rest of the cash. So comment down below. I've got my thoughts as to what might have been going on there. You let me know what your thoughts are. On cheekiness, I think that's pretty high, but on a scale by comparison, the story that one of you subscribers sent to me this week was absolutely brilliant. Well, in fact, didn't send it to me. You happened to be here doing some servicing on a bit of equipment next door. I don't use your name because I don't remember asking for it or not. But fantastic to meet you. Thanks for sharing the story with me. So they decided to do a little bit of trading from home. And what they were actually trading was an RS Clio, like the one in the background. But no, I think it was a 182 Clio, so the earlier one. The 182 brake horsepower Clio. So they decided to do a bit of driveway trading. They'd fixed it up a bit, got fresh MOT on it if I remember correctly, got all ready to go, sold it to a young lad, came and bought it off of him. The young lad had it for, I think it was a very short period of time, I think about a week or so, maybe a couple of weeks at most, and got on the phone to our subscriber and said, look, you need to take this car back because the clutch has gone on it. I can't get any drive. It's no good at all to me. It's already gone in that short period of time. So our subscriber was like, well, that's strange. It was driving really, really well for me. It drove well on the test drive. There was no indicators the clutch was on its way out at all. And he just so happened to tell one of his friends that that this was the issue he was having. The guy was kicking off apparently. He was going to bring people down with him to get his money back, all that kind of stuff. All the kind of normal veiled threats you get in these scenarios. So he happened to mention to a friend who said to him, well, you need to see this, and actually sent him a social media link. And this is why you need to be careful with the social media people. Sent him a social media link of this exact car that had been shared all around the net, of this exact car at traffic lights doing an absolute standing burnout, like foot ran to the floor on the brakes, but full revs, just ripping the tyres from underneath the car. So our subscriber held on to this little nugget of information, and when the lad turned up to get his money back, just said, well, this will be why you're having a problem with the clutch, and played the video to him. And apparently the guy just quietly got in his car and left. The point I always make as a car dealer is you can prep them until the cows come home, but what you don't know is what people do with them when they leave here. I've had some cars leave here where people were slipping the clutch that badly, I'd be amazed if a brand new clutch lasted a month. So you really don't know what they're doing with the cars after leaving. I think there should be justification. If we're going to be on the hook for up to 6 months, we should have some tracking in there, some monitoring there to know exactly what's happening with the vehicle. I've kept my favourite unreasonable customer expectation to the end today. This is one I came across on a forum. You know, I'm an Alfa Romeo nut, and I always look out for stuff that's regarding people that bought cars from dealerships and what they've got to say about it. So in this instance, the customer bought themselves an Alfa Romeo 159, about 5 years old, I think it was, 6 years old. They've been stopped making it for long. I can't remember exactly how old it was now. Anyway, so they bought the car. Now, obviously, as we know, our roads have been terrible. They had it for a few months. They're driving around. They hit a massive pothole. It blew the tyre out, damaged the alloy, and the front bumper dropped on that corner. So he took it into his local garage, and his local garage sorted the wheel out, but the tyre, and I said, but the reason your bumper's come off is it's been previously glued in place. But the chaps in the forum saying, well, shouldn't the dealership be responsible for that? Because they sold it to me like that and the bumper's now dropped off. It hadn't dropped off actually, it just dropped a bit and left an unsightly gap. So everybody's in the forums jumping in and going, yeah, the dealer should be paying, the dealer should be paying, the dealer should be paying for that. The consumer rights that, consumer rights this, consumer rights the other. Fit for purpose, all that kind of stuff. So I've gone in there and I've said, look, at the end of the day, if the bumper stayed on for that period of time and it took you hitting a massive pothole to the extent that it bent a wheel and took out a tyre for the bumper to drop a bit, then it was fit for purpose when it left. It might have been glued on rather than being on a clip, but it was fit for purpose. And what's to say the dealer even knew that that was the case when it left? So some bright spark comes back and says it's up to the dealership to check everything on the vehicle. So I've gone back and said, what, every clip, nut and bolt on the car? And it says, on that model, it's a well-known fact that the clips on the bumpers fail. So the dealer should have had the bumpers off and checked and replaced all the clips and put them on before he sold the vehicle. Now again, comment down below if I'm wrong, but if the expectation from consumers is that you're going to take, checking the car out behind me, every panel off the car to check if the fittings behind it are good, when visually they all look perfect, if you're going to take every nut and bolt off the car and put it all back together again, what do you want the price point difference to be between a private and a dealer car? Just utterly ridiculous. The level of expectation some people have is just off the chart on a used vehicle. Don't get me wrong, we all know there are rogue dealers out there that people can get a rum deal from a car dealership, that some dealerships are harder to deal with others, but at least you are protected with the consumer rights and you do have a right to go back. The only reason they get away with it is you let them get away with it. But you do have to wonder how much of these bad dealership stories are more a case of people just having utterly ridiculous expectation on used vehicles. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed those stories. I know you like a bit of story time. Let me know my dilemma with the Hyundai i10. Get down in the comments and have your say. And like I say, we've got lots of new stock in that we're going to go through with you. As always, massive thanks for watching. Keep sending your stories across. They're always of interest to hear. And I'll see you on the next one. Just a quick shout out to thank everybody for the early support of the Camry raffle. So we've taken, those who don't know, our Toyota Camry Sport. We've done a light resto one with a brand new MOT, cam belt, new tyres all round, discs, pads, catalytic converter. We've gone through it head to toe. Fresh new MOT on it. It is looking fantastic after our light resto. If you watch previous videos, you see what a great car it is. So yeah, massive thanks to everybody that supported that early on. Don't forget that there are discounts that end in 3 days where you can get a load of free tickets as part of your purchase. So good idea to get in early. And obviously, as previously said, we are going to support a fantastic lad at the East of the Water Community Pantry. So that is the local lad that has set up a food pantry to support the local community. They're in desperate need of help at the moment, and you all said you wanted a charity that was not managed by some CEO on 150 grand a year, but a local charity for local people. So they're going to benefit massively from this. And don't forget, it's not just the Camry we're giving away. There are 5 other prizes. So like I said, get in there nice and early. Tickets are just £1 a ticket. And if you view the discounts up here, there's a fantastic opportunity to get a load of free tickets if you get early on. We're going to put a link in a description for that in the video description. I'll also pin a comment at the top of the comments.